Hello, good morning, students. So today I can now continue from the solve exercises. Okay, so last class I discussed on this question, question number 27 and question number 28. Okay, so after that we'll be skipping some questions. Okay, and then you come to question number 32. Okay, question number 32. So here, as per the question, define a class travel in C++ with a description given below. Okay, so here you have a class with the class name travel. Okay, so you have to write down the complete program on that. So based on that, you have to fill up these members and then the member functions. Okay, so the private data members that are given here are the variables are T code. Okay, so based on that, so you can relate this with a real world problem, right? T code that can be represented as a ticket number or ticket code, right? So of type string. Okay, so of type string, so like that. Okay, so of type string, since it said of type string, so this variable will be of an array type, right? So it will have a size. So if you see the textbook, okay, it has been declared as character, since it is a string character t underscore code of size 10. Okay, so the ticket code is comprised of then 10 numbers. Okay, then next you have your number of adults. Okay, so usually if you see your tickets, right, it asks for the you have the ticket number, you have the number of adults, or if there's any children, and then the distance that is to be traveled, and then the total fare. So all of these things you can relate with real world uh, uh, real world data. Okay, so here the distance, all these are of type integer. So as per that, okay, in the class declaration, okay, you can see that it's filled up like integer number of adults, integer type number of children, integer type distance, and float total fare. Okay, now in the next part you have the public member functions. So here it is written here, a constructor to assign initial values as follows. So directly you have a constructor, so you have a constructor that is invoked, so you have a constructor member function. Okay, so that means that when the object gets declared, this constructor will be automatically called. Okay, so that means that this constructor is your default constructor. Okay, so that means in the default constructor there will be no parameters declared, right? Within the parenthesis no parameters or no variables will be declared. Okay, so within this default constructor body, okay, these are the values that are assigned in the constructor function body. Okay, so the first one is T code to assign initial values, right? T code with the word null. Okay, so that means this variable or this data member T code, okay, this data member T code is assigned the word null. That means this value, okay, this string value null will be assigned to the, and how do you assign it? Using the you assign means usually you use the equal to, right? But in this case this is a string value, you cannot directly use the equal to assign a string value, right? For that you use the string manipulation function, right? And to directly assign this value to this variable, you use the string manipulation function, that is the string copy, strcpy, right? You have seen that yesterday also. So under that here, so under the public member function, this is your default constructor. How do you know it is a constructor? Because a constructor name and the class name is always same. Okay, it's always same. So when you have multiple member functions, okay, when you have multiple member functions, and you have to, the question is asked, okay, what type of member function it is. Okay, so from there you can understand that this the scope could be, it could be like constructor or a normal member function, right? Or it can be like what what kind of statement is used to call that function, right? In that case, if you have the if you have the member function name same like the class name, then you can call that as a constructor overloading, because the name of the member function and the name of the uh, class is same. So in that case, that will be constructor overloading. Okay, and if it is a normal member function, then in that case it is function overloading. Okay, so here as per the textual, okay, number of adults no number of adults equal as 0 and number of children as 0. So based on that, okay, number of adults and children is assigned the value 0 0. Okay, so they are initialized to 0. Okay, same way distance and total fare is also assigned the value 0. Okay, so here total as distance and total as 0. Okay, now in the next part, in the next member function, okay, a function assign fare which calculates and assigns the value of the data member total fare as follows. So within this assign fare member function, this will be the body of the function definition. Okay, so under this function definition, this function these statements, these following compound statements will be declared, okay, will be written down. So but if you see here a function assign fare, so that is the name of the function. Okay, so this is a normal member function which calculates, it will calculate and then assign the values of the data member total fare. So it will calculate all of this. Okay, it will calculate all of these logics and then and assign the value of the data member total fare. So earlier we have declared the total fare as float type, right? And total fare has been assigned the value 0 as per the question, right? Now here it says like and assigns the value of the data member total fare. So that means there is a connection between the total fare and then the assigned fare, okay? And assigns the value of the data member total fare. Okay, so the value after processing this logic, okay, the value that you get, okay, will be assigned to the total fare within this member function. That is why, okay, that is why under this member function, okay, under this member function, okay, you see that the assigned fare, okay, the assigned fare, the member function is assigned to the total fare. Okay, as per the question, as per the question, which calculates and assigns the value of the data member. So after processing this function definition body, okay, what will happen is that that value, what you get, will be transferred to this variable total fare. Okay, now after that come back to here. Okay, a function and tour. So this is the whole of this function definition body explanation, okay, how it's to be done. So after that, the next function, a function enter tour to input values of the data members t code. So here in this is your input data member function, okay, where you'll enter the value for t code, number of adults, number of children, distance, and invoke the assign fare function. So that is this one, this member function, this function definition. Okay, so based on that, okay, you have your function declaration, prototype declaration, that is void ender travel, float assign fare, void show travel. Okay, so that is written in here, a function show travel which displays the content of all the data members for a travel. Okay, and then uh, assign fare. So you have your member function declared here, prototype declaration. Okay, because it is executed outside of the class definition. So since it is executed outside of the class definition, so it has to be declared, the prototype must be there. Okay, so now a function enter tour, right? Now here there is a mistake either in here or in here. Okay, it is written here enter tour, okay, but if you see here, okay, void travel scope resolution, okay, enter travel. Okay, so as per the program, okay, it has been declared here ender travel, and it is been executed here ender travel, okay. But in here it has been written here ender tour, okay. So since they are following here as per the program source code, okay, ender travel, okay, you can change this ender tour to ender travel, okay. So why? Because this member function, it inputs the values of t code, number of articles, like that. So if you see this function, within this function body, from this opening curly bracket to this closing curly bracket, this is the function body, right? So this is the function definition section, or you can call this as the call function, right? So this is your class name, okay. Its return type is void. Why void? The return type, because it does not return any value. It simply executes the function, this body, okay, which has symbol cout statement, right? Cout statement. And so using the scope resolution operator, okay, it is able to declare this member function, okay. So that shows that this member function belongs to this class travel, okay. So within this function body, you can see that cout enter the t code gets t code, because t code is what? It's a string value, right? And then enter number of adults, okay. Number of adults is in integer format, number of children is in integer format, cout distance is also in integer format. And then finally here, this the last part, it was written here, right? See, a function ender tour or ender travel to input the values, okay, and invoke the assign fare function. So here the assign fare must be called, okay, and invoke. So the calling function for the assign fare is within this function body, okay. And what and but why is it written here total fare is equal to assign fare? Because otherwise, according to this, and invoke the assign fare function, right, it should only be like this, right? The calling function, this is the calling function assign fare. But if you see the top part, a function assign fare which calculates and assigns the value of the data member total fare, right? So the calling function, once it receives the value, it transfers the value to the data member, that is the variable total fare. That is why it is written here total fare equals to assign fare, okay. So coming back to the main function, okay. So the purpose of the main function is, now with the class you are declaring the object trv. So this is the object, okay. So once this object gets declared, immediately it invokes this constructor, okay. This, so the constructor is defined in here, the function definition, okay, within the class itself, okay. So this is your default constructor. So what it will do is that it will copy the value null, it will assign the value null to the t code variable, okay, to the t code variable. And then it will assign the value 0 to the adult variable, 0 to the number of children variable, 0 to distance, and 0 to fare, okay. So all of this is initialized so as to avoid any garbage values, okay. After that, what happens, the next step is, now in the main function, what it will do, you have the calling function, it will simply call, keep on calling, so that it will execute all this function body, right? That is the purpose of the main function, okay. So the compiler, what it will do is that it will go to the next line statement, okay. So the object is accessing the member function, that is ender travel, okay. So using the object, it calls this is the calling function, it calls this function to execute this function body, okay. And since it is void, so it does not return any value back, right? So it simply executes. Now once it comes to the end of this line, okay, it reaches here total fare is equal to assign fare. So another calling function is there. From this function body, another calling function calls, and then it executes this program statement, this function body, okay. Now under this function body, okay, if we come to the here, uh, are as follows, okay. For each adult, okay, fare and distance, okay. So now this is the table structure, okay. Fare, so the fare, now we have to compare the fare. So total fare is there, but total fare value we are still not, total fare value is still 0, and total fare, the actual total fare, we still did not get, because that the calling function will store and keep it in the total fare, right? So for now, total fare is still 0. The calling function will call this function, and after that only that value will be returned back and stored in the total fare. So another variable is declared in this function body, that is fare. Okay, and since distance is already declared here, right, and distance has been initialized to 0. Okay, so this is a local variable, this is a local variable fare, which will be declared in this function body. Okay, because this variable fare, float fare equals to 0, 0.0, okay, will be used only within this function body. That is why it is declared here, not in here. Okay, so since it is to be used in this function body only, that's why this variable is declared in here, and this has been initialized to value 0, 0.0. Okay, now as per this formula logic, okay, it is executed in here. Okay, so like as per the program, okay, it has been executed from bottom to top. Okay, so if suppose the fare is 200, and then that means the distance, if the distance is less than 500, okay, if the distance in terms of kilometer traveled is less than 500, then the fare is 200. Okay, but here's the condition, because we have in terms of travel, we have adults and we have children, right? So distance covered is, in this case, is 500, right? Distance covered in this case is 500. So how many adults and how many children are traveling? Okay, so depending on that, the fare will be adjusted, right? So in here the explanation is given. For each child, the above fare will be 50% of the fare mentioned in the above table. So that means 50% reduction will be there in terms of the fare. So this is the fare which is actually meant for the adult. If the adult fare is 500, then 50% cutoff reduction for the child. That means it will be 250. If it is 300 for the child, it will be 150. If it is 200 for the child, it will be 100. Okay, so that is the 50% reduction. Okay, so in that example is given in here. Okay, so based on that, as per this, okay, if this it is executed from bottom to top. Okay, in the first condition, so these are the three conditions that is to be executed using the if else. Okay, decision branching statement. So according to textbook, it is executed from the bottom. Okay, so as per that, the fare is 200 and then the distance is 500, right? So that's why here is written here. Okay, if distance is less than 500. Okay, if distance is less than 500, so what will happen? Fare will be assigned. So fare is equal to number of adults into 200. Okay, so per adult it will be 200. Okay, plus number of children into 100. For the children, the fare price will be only 100, right? In terms of if the distance is less than 500, as it is written here, right? For distance which is less than 500, right? So as per that, we are getting the if term condition. Okay, if distance less than 500, so what is the condition? Fare will be 200 for adult and 100 for the children. So that's why we have this addition. Okay, fare equals to number of adults. How many adults are traveling, we do not know, right? So that's why it is multiplied by 200. Okay, and then plus number of children is into 100. So that value will be uh, stored here. Okay, now where is this value distance? You have already entered in here, right? Here enter uh, see out distance, so you're entering the distance. So if you enter here suppose like 450, okay, if you enter the distance here 450, when this calling function calls this function to execute, okay, so the distance will be, if 450 is less than 500, that is true, right? So in that case this will be executed. And what is the number of adults? You have already entered the number of adults, number of children. If you suppose the number of adults, 2 adults and 3 children, right? So that will be multiplied. 2 into 200, 3 into 100, because 3 children, so that means 300, 2 adults, that means 400. Okay, so that will be added and that will be the fare. Okay, so that will be stored in this variable fare. Okay, similarly like that, the other two conditions. Okay, if it is less than if it is greater than equal to 500 and less than 1000, okay, the fare will increase by as per the distance, okay. And if it is more than 1000, the fare distance increase by 500, okay. So that is what is given in here, okay. If distance is greater than equal to 500 and using the logical operator distance is less than 1000, so fare equals to number of adults, the formula is same, 300, the price increases. And for the children also it increases, but it is half rate, okay. And then finally in here also the same formula applies, okay. But we have a return value, return fare, right? So what happened is that return fare, now usually this will be under parenthesis, okay, return fare. But irrespective of whether there is a parenthesis or not, okay, it will execute, okay. So what happens is that return fare, so whatever value you're getting, okay, if suppose this is executed, okay, so that value which is stored in this fare, it will be returned back to the where, it will be returned back to the calling function, okay. And so you can see that this is a local variable, right? So this variable stores the value. Suppose here it stores the value, suppose like 5000, okay. So that 5000, since there's a return value, right, that 5000 will be returned back and stored to this calling function, okay. And that value, instead of this calling function, that 5000 will be returned here, and that value will be stored in this total fare variable, okay. So for that we have the return type, okay. So the function is returning a value back to the calling function, okay, in the form of the values, suppose the 5000, and stored in this total fare variable, okay. And then finally after that, in the next line statement, trv.show travel, okay, it will execute this function body and it will display all of the values that that has been processed, okay. So a very simple program, okay. I hope that you have understood from this, okay. So likewise, okay, uh, study the remaining parts of the programs, okay. From next week I'll start on the new chapter, that is inheritance, okay. That will be for today.